And you'll see how beautifully he transitions from heel strike, foot flat, toe off, just this first time wearing the brace. Okay? What he loved about this, and I want to just show you, I got 3/16 polypropylene, thicker than his plastic. I've got a full 1/4-inch microcell puff insole, so I've got all of this thickness. And this is thinner plastic with very little padding, and what he loved about it was how easy it went into the shoe. The reason it went into the shoe easy is because we've got an intimate fit. We're controlling this. So I have more than double the material, but the shoe goes on easy. Well, I say that and then don't go on. No, I got to loosen the lace. But it slips on very easily without any tools, and we can use a shoehorn. Just relax your foot, sir. You want to get your heel down in there, and then boom, goes right on. No problem. These are the shoes he wore in. The shoes he was wearing with these. He can probably even go to a smaller shoe, although this one looks pretty good. I like to look at the laces and see how much they're bunching up. Now, I've got a lot of material in the heel, and then I added a heel pad. So one sacrifice that I make, and with no apologies, is now I've got to compensate for a longer heel here. I've got to compensate over here. So I'm going to sacrifice a little bit, and I'm going to have him wear a heel lift. He'll be happy to wear it because his function will be improved. Also, what I did, because this shoe is a little bigger, and when he's wearing it, it's bunched up all the way, I added an insole. So this has got some thickness to it. And then I also add a heel lift. This is 3/8 of an inch. I don't want him to be long on this side. If anything, I want him a little short on that side to help facilitate toe clearance at the swing phase. So, but one thing I don't want is have him be long on this side. So we're going to compensate and make this shoe fit better because it's a little big. And it's a Dr. Comfort insole that we save our insoles that we don't end up using, and we put them in shoes just for this occasion. And that feel a little better now? Feel a little more snug? Good. All right. Let's go ahead and go out in the hallway here, Chris. Now, what I'll cue my patients to do, he's in the habit of dipping this hip, okay? So I'll tell him, I'll say, look, sir, we need to get rid of that lip. You're dipping that hip. I want you to try to keep your head and shoulders level when you're walking. I need your gait smooth. We need to get rid of that limp because you're going to have more back problems, knee and hip problems. And then just through a little cueing, his gait smooths out remarkably. Okay? If you look at leg length, and I love it when they wear a belt with their shirt tucked in, you can see leg length. It makes it much easier to see. He looks really close. I'm pleased with the fit. How do you feel as far as your legs? They feel fairly balanced? Good. Perfect. One more time, if you would, sir. And you can see, look at that calf, wide open. How much less sweating will you do with that much less plastic? Chris and I are real happy with this design we came up with. Feels normal. Does it feel better than those other two? And I'm not cueing him. He's not getting paid for this. He just volunteered to let us video him. But you can see, now he's got to get out of some bad habits. He's always looking at the floor in front of him. Yeah, that's better. I want him to walk big and tall. I don't want neck issues. I want him to just be as smooth and normal as he can. And what do you think of that gait pattern? It's a rigid ankle, but he is smooth as he can be. Look at that transition to heel strike, foot flat, toe off. It couldn't be smoother.
Definitely different. I feel it in my hips already.
Think it's going to work? I appreciate you subjecting yourself to this.
No, the brace was so big and bulky. My foot just sloshed around in it. This one is snug and fits right.
I wanted to further clarify a little bit of what I didn't go over in the room with Mr. Capps. By the way, my name is Kevin Matthews, and this is our design, Advanced Orthopedic Designs. We all came up with this together, and it's an amazing design. We've done maybe about 40 of them, and my results have been outstanding. I really want to get this out there, and I'd like more people to use it. We're going to do a fabrication video. We've actually got one. We're going to put it all together and put it on the website also. But we're going to put a series of videos together. But I wanted to show you how I set up Mr. Capps. Now, if you notice in the evaluation, he had a plantar flexion contracture. I don't accommodate those. I correct them. I know they can be corrected. And if I fail, well, there are things I can do inside the brace to fix it. But they tolerate it. They may not be able to wear it for more than an hour or two at a time while this all stretches out, but they'll do well. So how I set this up when I do these, okay? Every shoe has a heel height and a transition, okay? And just using my shoe as an example, this is a standard Avia cheapy shoe. I go through shoes. So I got this at Costco for $25. Comfortable shoe, works fine for me. And you can see it's your typical last shoe. There's 3/8 of an inch difference between the heel and the ball of the foot. And the person that I stole this idea from for this whole design, Marmaduke Clove, he laminates his, and he gets paid a lot more money than I do for mine. But he always measures every shoe, and he's very, very meticulous about his designs and his evaluations and everything that he does. But, he gets $6,000 or $7,000 for his AFOs. I'm a little bit more of a speed merchant. I typically go with 1/4 of an inch, and I don't find that it's such a huge deal. But if you want to be very, very precise, you can measure your shoe, take 2 rulers and measure here, then come up to the ball of the foot and measure there. And with this particular shoe, the difference was 3/8 of an inch. Okay, I don't think you'll ever find less than a 1/4 inch transition in just about any shoe except pediatrics. So anyway, we already got a little bit of a heel lift in the shoe itself. Now we incorporate the satch heel material. I use medium. Big guys, I could use firm. Medium tends to work. It's just a good shock absorbing material. You buy it in blocks. You cut off the thickness you need. You cut it out to be a heel lift. Okay. So with him, the 1/4 inch heel lift. Okay, that's just the heel lift. Sets him in a little bit of dorsiflexion. And I know that this isn't 90 degrees, but everyone can understand that this is dorsiflexion. And this is basically a comfortable standing position. When you add the heel height, you kick him forward a little bit more, and that comes into play in gait. And so right now I've got the 1/4 inch heel lift that I put in the shoe, and the natural 3/8 difference between the heel and the ball. I will typically use 1/4 of an inch for this measurement in my mods, but my shoe's 3/8 and his shoe is very similar to mine, so we'll call it 3/8. So if you look at this, his knee is pitched forward. In just this alignment, I've got him at 90 degrees right here. Okay, so and it's actually, I know that measurement comes here, but they're differing. But I corrected him to 90 degrees. It's critical, though, that I get the knee anterior to midline. I need him to be comfortable in stance. Normal stance is a little bit of knee flexion. They rest into this front shell, and they stand very comfortably in this alignment. And it comes into play even more so in gait. In gait, with your typical floor reaction designed AFO, you've got the ankle at 90 degrees. So you get a heel strike, a foot flat, and then as the body transitions over, if this is at 90 degrees, not taking into consideration heel height, then you get a posterior directed force as the weight comes forward. If this is pushing the knee back, you actually create a hyperextension moment. So it's important that you have the knee forward so that as they transition forward, you're not creating that hyperextension moment. So basically, you get a heel strike here, a foot flat here, and then and your foot flat is actually dorsiflexion at the knee, which is very comfortable. They do very well with this. But what it does is as the body transitions forward and you hit this amount of knee flexion, the other foot is almost on the ground. So it's a natural progression into swing phase. So it's like it's a propulsion mechanism. And that's why I came up with the word turbo. Because in gait, this thing propels the user, propels you forward in gait. It's a phenomenal mechanism. I'll go into this more in the future. This is getting too long. I didn't want to be this long-winded. But I hope you get the gist of it. This is a phenomenal design. We're going to teach you how to make it in another video. I'd love feedback on what you think of my approach, my design.